Next topic we're looking at, polynomials. Polynomials is an extension topic, okay? So in the two-unit we looked at the linear function, we looked at the quadratic function. That's pretty much where they stop. And so an extension we take it further and say, okay, well let's look at any sort of polynomial whatsoever. So a few definitions. For it to be a polynomial, okay, it needs to be expressed in such a format. Basically we're just saying there's x's to a power and they have some coefficients. But there's some rules about that. Pn does not equal 0. Now the reason Pn does not equal 0 is because this is a polynomial of degree n. Now if Pn equals 0, then it wouldn't be there, and it'd now be a polynomial of degree n minus 1. So it's kind of trivial, but technically in the definition, Pn does not equal 0. And the other thing is n has to be a positive integer, or it could be 0. Okay? So a constant number is a polynomial, because it would be x to the power of 0. So, well, we know about coefficients. So P0, P1, P2, all the numbers associated with the polynomials are the coefficients. The index or the exponent are basically the powers. The degree, or sometimes you see it called the order, so you might see those words interchanged, is the highest index or the highest power of the polynomial. So polynomial of degree, whatever the highest power is. Leading term is the term that contains the highest power. So Pn x to the n, as opposed to leading coefficient, which is just Pn. So make sure you read the question carefully. If they're asking for leading coefficient, then we don't put the x to the power of n part. It's just the coefficient. As opposed to leading term, where we want the whole piece of algebra. We include the x as well. And a monic polynomial is any polynomial where that leading coefficient is equal to 1. If I have a polynomial equaling 0, we technically call that a polynomial equation. I suppose it doesn't have to equal 0. It could equal any number, because you could always move the number to the left-hand side and make it equal to 0. Whereas if it's equal to another pronumeral, most commonly y, it becomes the polynomial function rather than the polynomial equation. And the other thing I didn't put up there, if it's just px, so it doesn't equal anything, it's just an algebraic statement, then that's simply a polynomial. The roots, and you might remember from quadratics, the terms are still the same. They're solutions to the polynomial equation. Whereas a zeros, a subtle difference again, is the values of x that makes the polynomial 0. So technically you have zeros of the function and roots of the equation. But again, you might see people using the wrong word from time to time. And if we're looking at the graph, then we're talking about the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts. All right, so we've got 4 different ones here. Which of these are indeed polynomials? We've got the first one there. Would that be a polynomial? No cheating. Don't look at the sheet. Why not? Very good. So no, can't have the fraction as a power. What about the second one? No. Why not? Right. No, can't have a negative power, because, I mean, if we were to rewrite that, it would be x squared plus 3 to the minus 1. Not that we can actually expand out the x squared plus 3 to the minus 1, but there's a negative power there associated with the algebra. What about the third one? Yeah, that one's fine, because I could rewrite it as a quarter x squared. Coefficients are allowed to be fractions. There was no rules on the coefficients. And the number 7, yeah, because as I mentioned before, constants are in fact polynomials. 7x to the power of 0, so it's a polynomial of order or degree 0. This expression here, is it monic? Now, don't actually calculate it. Just look at it and think, is it monic? It could be. Yes, it could be, and then it might not be. And what do you think its degree is? Again, don't actually start calculating anything. Let's see. If we expand the whole thing out, highest power is 4, so it's looking like 4, but you'll notice one's got 8, one's got minus 8. They will actually cancel, so it is in fact a monic polynomial of degree 3. So yep, it's monic degree 3.